Welcome to Reaching Out. I'm Gregory Floyd, president of Local 237 Teamsters. With me, our special guest is Councilman Vincent Gentile from the 43rd Council District in Brooklyn. Councilman, welcome to the show.
Greg, it's a pleasure to be with you.
Thank you. And before we begin, I just want to give our audience your background. You grew up in Bay Ridge. You went to Fordham Law School. You also attended Cornell University.
Cornell, yes.
Cornell University. And you were a former state senator.
Correct.
Let's see. And so tell us a little bit about your background, which what I didn't cover. Let's expound on some of the things I just covered.
Sure. Well, I was an assistant district attorney right out of law school, and I spent 11 years in the Queens District Attorney's office. And then I ran for office and ran for state senate and won that seat in 1996. And the state senate seat covered portions of Brooklyn and Staten Island. So I used to tell people that I lived in Brooklyn, worked in Queens, but ran for office in Staten Island. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, who was the district attorney in Queens?
Queens, when I was hired, was John Santucci.
Ah.
And then I worked also for Richard Brown.
Okay.
And then got elected to the state senate in 1996, and I served 3 terms in the state senate. Then they eliminated my district in the redrawing of the lines, and so I ran for the city council seat in 2003, and I've been the city councilman from the 43rd district for almost the last 10 years.
Right. Well, that's quite interesting. They eliminated your seat there, and then you came to the city
council, right.
City council. That's very good. Now, one of your major concerns is public safety for your district and also citywide. Can you tell us about your concerns for public safety?
Well, my background as an assistant district attorney for 11 years, I was primarily concerned on a daily basis with public safety, and I now sit on the Public Safety Committee of the New York City Council. And so public safety has been one of my main priorities throughout. And, as I sit on the committee and listen to the budget issues that come on and other issues that happen before the committee, it's clear to me that in terms of increasing public safety, we need to increase the total number of police officers we have on the job. We need to open up an opportunity for the fire department. We're beginning to do that, opening up more opportunity on fire department. We need to add people there, and we need a larger sanitation force to keep our streets clean. Most people, wherever you come from, whatever your background, whatever your religion or race or national origin, everybody has a common denominator. They want to live in a clean, safe neighborhood where they can raise their children, have a business, and be safe. And that is really I found that no matter where you come from, in New York City at least, that I've come into, that's what everybody wants. And so public safety is probably one of the number one responsibilities of every government.
Now, speaking of public safety, we just had a tragedy, Sandy Hook in Connecticut, and there are a lot of people talking about arming our school security, and there are people that are talking about gun control, and there are some people talking about doing nothing. Where do you fall in that category?
Well, I think, first of all, our public safety officers in the schools have a very difficult job, and they do a very good job with a very difficult responsibility, particularly in our high schools. But certainly, I would advocate for better resources for school safety officers, maybe more training for school safety officers.
We both agree with that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, and so I think maybe we need to work on that end first. And I think by adding more numbers of safety officers with better training and more resources, we don't even have to reach the point of arming people in schools, because that can be dangerous.
And our school safety agents here in New York City, they do such, I represent them, full disclosure.
Okay, great.
But they do a tremendous job. They don't get the credit for the jobs that they are doing. They confiscate weapons. They've handled gunshot victims, mainly children, and I've had one member even put their finger in the bullet wound so that the blood doesn't come
right?
out. Yeah, and
Wow.
save the child's life. I mean, they do a job that nobody understands the job that they do, and nobody gives them credit for the job that they do. But they prevent tragedies.
Yeah, I'm sure on a daily basis,
yes.
they are unsung heroes on a daily basis. So we really should focus on resources, giving them better training, better resources, and more personnel in the safety ranks. And I think we could do a better. That would be better than just handing out weapons.
Yes, and I understand that people, they certainly didn't take the job as a school safety agent to ask for weapons.
Right.
They do ask for protection because they don't have bulletproof vests, and they ask to be paid well. They be paid they ask to be well compensated
right.
with salary.
Agreed.
And
Agreed.
those are two issues that all of us could agree on.
Right.
Also, I want to mention that the tragedies don't stop there, because during Hurricane Sandy, again, that word Sandy, if it wasn't for Sandy, we would have had a beautiful year last year. Hurricane Sandy was such a tremendous storm, a superstorm, that we saw things in the city that was unprecedented. We had to turn our schools into shelters, and our school safety agents had to act as shelter personnel because there was no other resources left.
Right. I visited some of those schools, and I talked to the personnel in those schools, and they were doing a tremendous job staying around the clock to help house people and making sure that they had blankets and food and cots and taking care of the pets. This is far beyond the job description of any of those workers, but that's why we really have to appreciate the city workers that we have. And, we're recording on the day that Ed Koch was buried. And on a day like this, we should be celebrating city workers, in honor of public service, in honor of the service that Ed Koch gave. We should be celebrating New York City's workers. But too often now, because of budget crunches, we use city workers to try to get to a balanced budget. And that's really unfortunate, because it doesn't recognize the contributions they make, and it tries to balance the budget on the backs of those workers.
You're listening to Reaching Out. I'm Gregory Floyd, President Local 237 Teamsters. I'm sitting with Councilman Vincent Gentile from the 43rd Council District in Brooklyn, and we're here talking right now about city workers. I read something today. It's funny that you mentioned that. In the Daily News, there was an editorial that was done by the Citizens Budget Commission, and they are advocating that they say pay your fair share for health care, city workers, but not understanding that the city workers haven't gotten a raise in 2 years. Right. And previous to that, they were without a raise for a year because we took a lump sum payment, and before that, we've taken no increases. So I say in the last decade, 15 years, we've had at least 4.5 years with no wage increase.
Yeah, it's that kind of editorial is just the same old attacks on middle class union workers that work in this city. Whether it be that unions are too greedy or pensions are too expensive. These are direct attacks on the middle class, and it's the middle class that will make or break this city. And we should not be looking to continue to pick the pockets of the middle class to make some budget numbers work. That's not the way. It's not fair to the workers because they do a great job, and it's not the way to balance the budget. And we have to come up with ways that do not make the worker the bad actor in this, because they're not. They're the ones that have done the work, like we talked about during Hurricane Sandy, that have saved this city, that have saved those people, that have, without them, we would be really in trouble, as the school safety agents have done, and all those that you represent, whether it be in hospitals or in schools. They have done yeoman's work to save this city, and they don't deserve the kind of attacks, whether it be on the unions or on their pensions, that they seem to be getting more and more these days.
Unfortunately, that is all the time we have.
Oh, come on. Is that thing all the time?
We have to have you back because we have a lot of questions we didn't get to. You've been listening to Reaching Out. I'm Gregory Floyd, President Local 237. This segment, we were joined by Councilman Vincent Gentile from the 43rd Council District in Brooklyn, mainly Bay Ridge and Bensonhurst. Thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you, Greg. All the best.